I never know how to start these fucking videos, so I guess we're just gonna go right into it. Fuck it. Yo, we're back here. I got another person. It's not a ghost. I didn't fake it. There's no green screen. We got somebody. And, who might you be?
I don't buy many names, but I'm just gonna go with Jason, because that's my main name.
That's definitely the name that I would, like, you'd change name tomorrow. I'd be like, who? Oh, Jason. Oh, yeah.
Well, it's not
So-
that. It's that people call me by my character's names more than my own name.
I got the same problem. Most people go, hey, it's Silky. It's like, Silky's my character. I'm Sif. Whatever, but, you know.
Right. Sometimes, because here's my big problem. One of my main characters, John. Fun fact about that: my father's name is John. So
Ooh.
sometimes when they call upon him, I fucking get attention. I was like, huh? But in reality, nope. Talking to my father. And the thing is, it was a pure coincidence. Wasn't even thinking about it when I made John's name.
You were what, just looking for Jays?
No.
Because I know most of your characters got. Well, you know what? We'll get back to that later.
Yeah, we'll get back to that.
How long have you been on VR chat?
Fuck.
Fuck's a good
I would
and
have
valid
to say
answer.
since the start of the pandemic, actually, like 2020.
Not
So
more
that's
than that. I'm
4 years
surprised.
ago.
I'm surprised. Like, with VR chat being like, oh, we've been around for 10 years. I am fucking dead. I'm surprised. I've not seen anyone yet that's been
Not
here
me.
for, like, the whole run.
Not me. I've only been here 4 years.
Alright,
5,
and
actually.
how did you get here? Desktop? The, fucking Quest 2, like all the other,
Actually, no. I was younger. I really wanted a Rift S, and yeah, no, I just really wanted a Rift S because I wanted to play fucking those cool games that were coming out like Beat Saber. So I got one, and then I saw VR chat, and I remembered it from the old memes with Ugandan Knuckles, and I was like, eh, fuck it, why not? So I went on, and you know, the rest was really history after that.
It's like, I want all these cool games, and I guess there's VR chat, and then it's like, I got VR chat, and I guess there are these games.
Yep, and then a lot happened, and my life kind of changed forever once I started this game. Hell, I met
Oh,
my
man,
wife
you're-
that I live with
You're
in VR
telling
chat.
me this fucking game changes a lot of people's lives.
Yeah, considering I'm married in real life now, have a wife and everything. Because of this game.
Shit changes, and shit changes fucking fast, dude.
Mm-hmm.
So what did get you into VR chat? The Knuckles, or?
It was a game that was popular, and I decided, why not? I'll go in there just to see what it's like. And my first experience in a public lobby was me joining the Great Pug.
Oh.
The fucking Great Pug, and I met there was this one guy on a stage fucking singing like fucking Wonderwall or something. I don't remember at this point. I think it was Foo Fighters, actually. But yeah, no, that was my first experience, and I was like, alright, I'll come back tomorrow. I did that, and then I proceeded to talk to this guy who was drunk until 5 in the morning. And I realized what time it was, and it's like, I need to sleep. And then after that, I just got hooked to meeting people because I had talked to more people in those 2 days than I had in the past decade at that point.
Yeah, fucking VR chat's got that covered. Like, my first day, it was just, I'm getting at the Black Cat first day in, first person I see just calling me names. I'm like, this game is ass. Nope. And like the next day, I'm like, I'll give it a second chance. And then it's like, damn. Everything just, it's like, what the fuck is this game? So anyway, you mentioned you got the Rift S to play games, so I'm guessing, what kind of games do you play? Because you're playing other games outside of VR chat, or at least you used to.
You know, Well, here's where my response is probably going to be a lot different than what you have heard before. I don't really play games that often, other than Warframe. I have like 4,000 hours in that game. I play some games, not really VR. In terms of VR, I only get on for RP anymore. I mean, I don't have any other reason to get on this game. You know, I mean, other than, you know, when my wife has her event, my wife owns a club or, you know, and all that. So sometimes I like to go in there. The supportive husband and all that. But in general, I spend a lot of my life these days working on my game, because that's gonna be my career, is game development. So I'm working on my game.
That's pretty cool. I got a buddy that as soon as high school finished, that's what he went into. And I don't know where he's at. I think he's working for like Ubisoft or something nowadays. And it's like, dude, fucking cool. Me like that. Let's go.
Yeah, cool. I'm going the different route. I'm gonna make my own games and shit from the ground up, which is expensive.
Oh,
very expensive. And I work at a grocery store, so it takes so long to save up to buy one thing.
Oh, I bet. And it's gotta take a fucking long ass time to make a game too, all by your lonesome. It's like
4 months. Well, actually, no. Years later. I have been learning game dev for like 5-6 years. A bunch of scrapped prototypes that didn't really work or fit together well, and then I finally am starting to land a really decent prototype that I can actually keep going with.
Nice.
Because when you're creating something, you will be indecisive for so long, which is how I've come up with a 3-day rule. If I make something or I look at something and I like it for 3 days, I continue with it. And then I repeat that process, you know, to make sure that I am not producing garbage.
That's, you know, it's weird because I have about the same thing, but I give myself a full week. Like, if I think of something on Monday, the next Monday, if it still feels right, roll with it. So I fucking get that. And so all of your VR chat time is strictly and only for roleplay. And fun.
These days, yes. For the first year or so in VR chat, I did not even know about roleplay.
Okay.
I only got into role playing because I had this one friend who was like, "Hey, you know, have you ever done roleplay?" And I had done roleplay before. You know, I used to roleplay in GTA back in high school, middle school. I remember, but I used to do that. I ran one a little bit, so I was kind of familiar with it. And I had done roleplay with, like, you know, friends and all that. And so it's like, oh, how about we do it? And I was like, I don't know. I haven't, you know, at that point, I hadn't roleplayed in, like, almost a decade at that point, or, like, a really long time. And I said, I don't know, maybe I think I lost my touch and all that. And she's like, oh, nonsense, you know, let's do it. And I was like, all right. So I do that, and she says, you're really good at it. You should join a roleplay. It's like, wait, there are roleplays in this game? I thought this was just a bunch of people hanging out. It's like, yeah. And then they had me join this non-metaverse roleplay, and it's like gotten really big at this point. Like, it floods the Twitch directory on Tuesdays.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck, that's a good start, I guess.
Yeah. That was my start, you know, and granted, I didn't know what I was doing and all that, you know. I was only in that roleplay for a short time, but I learned a lot from that roleplay.
Doing? I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing nowadays. Imagine that.
I run a roleplay, and even I don't know what I'm doing half the time.
See? Of course you didn't know when you started. You still don't fucking do it.
Because at the time I was like, man, this person doesn't know what they're doing. And now that I run a roleplay, it's like, man, nobody knows what they're doing.
No,
man,
nobody
this is kind of the norm, isn't it?
It's like, what did he say? What I do? What am I doing? How am I gonna... Fuck it, I'm just gonna roll this. Fuck, whatever.
Well, it's worked for me well so far.
Yeah, it's completely derailed all of my plans, but it's working out pretty okay. It's like, oh, I wish I could go this route. Yeah, fuck that. We're gonna go the complete opposite way. Shit. But it's working. Good enough. Uh, so you said you were role playing on like GTA. Did you like was GTA the like first role play experience that you got?
Yes, yes, it was. That was kind of my first experience, and it took on a life of its own. You know, I did roleplay in a bunch of other games, but only with like a couple from like 2, 3. You know, and that's kind of what I did for a while. But then some really bad drama happened. People, of course, took things that were in character and took them out of character, and then just fucking made a whole drama thing. And at the time, I was kind of leading that roleplay group-ish, and then they tried to make me pick a side, and it's like, I'm not picking any side. Both of you go. You know, I was doing this for fun. You know, and you're taking it too seriously. So there's the door, and then I just disbanded the whole thing, and that was my last experience for a lot of years, up until, of course, you know.
Yeah, I get that. Like, oh man, that's what happens to a lot of roleplays too. There's always some doofus that just takes it too seriously. It's like, man, we're having fun.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
beating your ass
like
for
I said,
fun.
I was gonna make a video like this too, and I interviewed like dozens of people, like at least 30 people, and all of them said around the same thing. People taking it too seriously, that it's VR make-believe, people take it too seriously, people get caught up into it, people dedicate their lives too much into it, you know, like people do like 24-hour roleplay events, and I'm sitting here like, I can barely stand being in VR for more than 5 hours at a time these days, because I'm getting older and I have such a busy life. You know, I got a job, I gotta do my indie game studio stuff. How do people find the time for 12 24-hour roleplay sessions?
Simple, you said it just right there. Life, work, other things. You take these blocks and you just fuck that, don't need that no more. VR takes it all.
Yeah.
But I like, on the other
that's
hand,
kind of why I have this rule.
On the other hand, I kind of get it though, because
Okay.
you're so invested, you know? It's kind of real. Like, you're here, I'm talking to you, like, there's a wall here, but you're here. So it's like, it's hard.
I feel like the most important thing is boundaries. You know, setting boundaries when you get into role playing to a serious level. Like, I have my rule is during the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it is only if I feel like it. You know, I will not obligate myself. I will not say I have to go. I take the weekend to do what I want to do, which most of the time for me, it's work on my game. Unfortunately, I'm waiting for somebody I hired to finish what they're doing in order for me to continue, but that's besides the point. Yeah, I make Friday, Saturday, Sunday my days to unwind, or of course, you know, work my real life job, get back at the grindstone, make the money.
Gotta make some bread, man. You can't fucking...
Yeah, and I also restrict myself to only being in a maximum amount of role plays. I feel like people should just... Because I'm not going to name names, obviously, but there's this one person that I know who helps run, over 20 role plays. They never have a moment to themselves. They have to take multiple breaks, you know, and all that, and they have no time for themselves, and I'm sitting here like, dude, restrict yourself. My rule is I will not be, a 100% frequent person for more than 2 roleplays. For me, my 2 main roleplays are the one I run, Black Wolves, and Frostbite Forge, the one we are both in. Those are my 2 main roleplays that I go into. I go into Blackstone sometimes, you know. Lately, though, I've been going in there. Nobody I know is there. And I'm sitting there awkwardly like, well, I don't really know any of you. Even today, I went into Blackstone for 20 minutes. I went to Blackstone for 30 minutes today. And this guy came in who was as big as my fucking boot. And I had a whole conversation with him for a while, and then I was like, all right, well, I was hoping Solus or somebody was going to be there so I could show off Joe's new model, but all right, and I left.
Yeah, that's exactly why I'm not going anymore. Well, the map makes it hard to find people because everything is so enclosed in little boxes, and it's like, none of you people I really know. Or if I know you, my character does not care for your character. Fuck! So I'm not going. So I get that.
Right, like I only really I check the VR chat website to see if anyone's on while that social is on, because if that's the case, then I can join Blackstone and hope that, you know, somebody I know is there.
Yeah, I mean,
because, you know, with social role plays, it's so restrictive to have fun. You gotta know people. You know, you either have to be an extrovert, which an extrovert I am not. Like, you really gotta just, you know, it's really hard to not be bored during a social lobby.
Even if you're an extrovert, sometimes it's the character that's limiting you. See, in my case, I don't mind to go out and just talk to random people about random shit. But that's not Silky. That's not what she does. So it's like, shit! That guy looks cool. I want to talk to that guy. Silky doesn't. Fuck me.
Right? Like, I've had so much, like, success with Joe, and I feel like 90% of that can be contributed to the fact that his right arm is shiny and bright, and people probably, the inner loot goblins in their brain are like, what's that? How did you get that arm?
Yeah,
what happens?
I mean, it's eye candy. It's like, yeah, everything seems pretty normal. Ooh, arm. Yeah.
That's kind of like the meta in the metaverse, is like fucking having something on your model that is shiny and like prominent, where people just can't not look at it.
I guess I'm kind of lacking that feature. I guess because I don't see what I'm fucking.
I did a test one time. I went to Blackstone with 2 characters. One character was wearing mainly dark colors, not a single soul talked to me. I walked in as this character, you know, bright. You know, I walked in as Jace, bright orange. I had people flock to me. Like 3 different people walked up to me and asked, "Why does your armor shine? Why is there no like torso cover there? Why are you showing your abs? Who are you? Why are you so fucking tall?" And I was there for like an hour.
Damn. Okay. That's fucking, like, yeah, I did not know, because I only go to Blackstone with Silky, and, well, it's a hit and miss with her. It's never the same. So it's like,
You were actually the first person, when I went as Poggy, you were the first character who talked to me. Silky was the first character who talked to me. Because you talked to me about hiding spots, because I was clearly hiding.
Look, if anyone can be helped for anything that is obvious, Silky's there for you. It's like, do you need help? Do you need Coco? You want to hide? I don't. Like, she's a sweetheart. I fucking love this character. God damn.
Right? Like, your character is probably one of Joe's favorites at this point.
Yeah! Let's go! Oh, dude. Oh, that's nice. Going on a different subject, what got you into roleplay at first? Because, like, it's a nerd thing. Most people, at least as far as I'm aware, most people go like, roleplay? What the fuck? It's pretty rare that someone just jumps at it.
I guess at the beginning it was... I had a really rough, you know, start of my life. And, you know, that's fine. Everyone has their struggles and everything. But for me, it was mainly the getting encapsulated in something that is just, you know, a fun story that you're telling, you know, just fucking a distraction from today's problems, you know?
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, in roleplay, I'm thinking about, you know, what my character's thinking, what he's saying, you know, reacting to what's happening around me. When I take off my headset, then, you know, that's when, you know, reality's like, hey, you know, you have bills to pay, buddy boy.
Yeah, everything just comes crashing down. I don't know about you, but me... Oh, well, go on.
And also, it's just fun getting encapsulated story. But to be honest, like, I feel like that's where a dangerous line has to be. You really have to understand.
Yeah, you
You
gotta
have
make the
to
balance in
keep the
there.
lives separate, keep them separate, have a balance. You know,
And
keep in
that
touch with the actual real world a little bit.
and that comes with my next question, which when I put on my headset and I put like Silky's avatar and because obviously I don't force myself to roleplay, but when I go somewhere and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be Silky and I'm going there, I genuinely just go like really happy, nilly, pretty, like, ooh, like Silky, like she's kind of fucking impacting my mood. I don't know if you have that though. I don't know if it's something that goes across, but being my character changes my mood. And I find that really strong.
Yes, I have that exact thing. When I get into a character, I get in their mindset. I start thinking the thoughts they logically would. I get into it. I get in character. And at that point, you know, like, yeah, I can get out of character really, really easily. It's not like there's character bleed happening. But like when I get in the zone, I am in the zone, you know, like
Nice, yeah.
like I am acting as if it's like I'm a different person and everything, and it's quite the experience, because sometimes you get those really sweet RP moments where you get going, you get emotional, you're in the zone, you know. I remember one time in a roleplay, I managed to like cry, like tears.
Yeah,
and when that was over, I was like, man.
But I did feel
It's
a
a
weight on
magical
my
moment.
heart at one point. It's like, oh, fuck. Why you had to say that? Dude, I love this.
I mean, yeah, it's those moments that are really like that make roleplay worth it. Those moments, those highs, because the high moments are really high, and obviously the low moments are really fucking low.
Yeah, and it's not something you would live through if you were not in character. And that fucking weird ass dimension with all these weird others, fucking creatures and people, it's just like, it's so cool and unique, and like, oh man, dude, I could golly all day. Anyway, how many characters do you think you've made, like, overall, across the board, not just VR chat, like, all in all?
Not just VR chat. Well, considering the whole indie game thing, since I'm counting those characters too, countless, like fucking like hundreds at this point. You know, in terms of roleplay characters, in VR chat, I like to keep it with my main set. Like, basically, all my characters are all my roleplay characters are essentially bootlegs of the original character, because all my original characters, like, you know, Jace, John, Joe, David, all those characters are characters that, you know, their real story, the story that I based these characters off of in VR chat, I intend to turn into a game at one point when I get my game dev stuff out of the water. So all of them are essentially like, I bootlegged my own character. I changed their story to fit a VR chat roleplay. The character I've touched the least is honestly probably David, and I don't play as him often these days. But
so someone
and Joe was a freak accident.
Really close attention, did pick all the pieces, play your game years later, and be like, I fucking know what that's from.
Yeah, but no,
Nice.
Joe was actually a freak accident. Actually. Quick fun fact. So when I was learning how to write a story, I made a storyline. I don't remember much of the details, but it was terrible. It had terrible plot holes, big plot holes. You know, the character was basically crazy, you know, delusional, and it was kind of like a character who could barely take care of himself at that point. And by the end of it, and I was like, man, this character's terrible. And so I just I scrapped him. I just threw him in the garbage, and I just forgot about him for years. And then at one point during, you know, like Black Wolf stuff, when I was still learning how to run a roleplay, you know, because I wasn't perfect in the beginning, I wanted to be in the metaverse, you know, because I wasn't, like I said, I started VR chat roleplaying outside the metaverse. And so many people, it's like, oh, stay away from the metaverse, stay away from the metaverse. It's crazy over there. And I was like, you know what? I want to see for myself. And so I was sitting there for a while thinking of a character to make for Metaverse. And so I got talking with my friend Nikolai. You probably know who that is. And he said, you know what, whatever character, basically he allowed me to make my Metaverse character's entrance in his server in Snare.
Okay.
And that's when I remembered the character that I scrapped those years ago. And so I cherry picked the best parts of his story, and then I created Joe with it. Like, Joe was basically someone that my original intention was for him to just be my Metaverse character, and to be honest, I thought he was just going to be a one and done character, just, you know, for me to wander the Metaverse a bit to see what it's like. And then, you know, I met Solus, and that kind of shit went down. I met Solus, and from there, everything just took a life of its own at that point. Once I met Solus, the Metaverse changed for me, and now, you know, obviously I have all this stuff going on in the Metaverse, like the cultist the timeline and all that, and now Joe's character has bigger fucking stuff now. There we go.
I mean, Solus just changes stuff, man. He's got this way. Like, Suki was just supposed to be a month of October kind of flick. Like, haha, spider for Halloween kind of thing. Haha, funny character. I'm just gonna scrap that in November and get back to my actual character. Meet Solus, everything goes down. It's like, alright, I guess this is my main now.
Yeah, no, honestly, like, with Joe, I was really intending for him to be just a fucking one-and-done character. You know, I was expecting to play as him for a couple months and be like, hey, you know, right away. And yeah, no, that didn't happen. And now it's at the point where it's like, okay, well, I'm going to give Joe a higher purpose. And so I'm taking Joe, the Metaverse character, and I'm going to put him as a character in my first indie game, because I feel like at this point, Joe has earned that at this point. Because, like I said, he was a character that I really did not put much thought into, and people just started to love him. So I took him, and I'm running with it.
Yeah, I feel that. I absolutely 100% feel that. Oh my god. So, speaking of you didn't put much thought into it, what's your favorite kind of character to make?
The characters with human struggle. Like, struggles that you can relate to, you know, like it just characters that have a struggle that makes you think, you know. All my characters have that struggle, you know, John's struggle is, you know, having that dark voice in your head telling you can't do something and taking it and just making it a literal thing. Someone who just, you know, basically the human aspect of, what if one of your parents is an evil dictator? How would that person act? Probably really fucked up in the head. And you know what? John's really fucked up in the head. Jace is, you know, what if somebody who has thoughts and feelings becomes a god? You know, the struggles of that. David is, what happens when an immortal person no longer wants to be immortal and just wants to rest? And Joe's struggle, I plan Joe's struggle to be, you know, he doesn't have his universe anymore, and so he has to rebuild a home, find a purpose to keep living on. So every one of my characters has a struggle. I make that a personal rule. Every character.
Yo, your characters and my Suki are fucking dude. There's a lot in common.
That's actually how Solus and Joe first, like, connected, because shared trauma. Yeah, shared trauma,
Yeah, we're trauma buddies! Which one of your characters are you the most proud of? Or the one that you have the most fun with? Either or both, depending.
Honestly, only two come to mind, and that's John and Jace. These two are, like, my main two. These are my boys. Like, I put blood, sweat, tears into each character. Those two. Like, Jace, right. I've been writing this character's story since I was 10 years old. Keep in mind, as of next month, I'm going to be 24. I've been doing this. I've been writing this character's story for 14 years.
I get
John
that.
was John was half of that time because at one point I got really good at story writing and I wanted to take a crack at a new story, and that's kind of what I did with John. So those two are my boys. And then there's the OG character, Justin. He is another character of mine, but he is basically he was basically the character I roleplayed as in the GTA days, and I retired him. He's killed off. I have no intention of bringing him back. You know, yeah, he'll come back as a spirit sometimes, but he is not gonna come back in like physical form. He's not coming back. That character is gonna stay dead.
Gone. Yeah.
Yeah, done. His days are done and gone. His story was told long ago. So basically, I only slightly rewrote him to be the father figure of this character in John, and basically, you know, like keep him dead, basically.
Yeah, I have a couple like that. Except mine's I can't find ways to just have him come back. So it's just alright. You existed. Have fun with that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna move on quick to servers, cause you know, pretty sure you're in quite a few of them, and you probably have
Oh yeah.
couple things to say about that. So first and
I have a
foremost,
lot
how
to
many
say.
servers do you think you're in?
In terms of roleplay servers, I am roughly about 12 to like 24, but I'm only active in 2 of them. Maybe 3.
I'm guessing you're, cause I know that they don't. I guess.
Yes.
But I'm guessing that these
I'll
two are the
name off
ones
my
you're
main
DMing. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, the DM in? No, not the ones I'm a DM in. These are the ones that I'm like I'm frequent flyers in. Black Wolves, that's my number 1, and obviously I'm there for every session because that's my roleplay. Frostbite Forge, I am there as often as I can be. I would like to be in Frostbite Forge more, but unfortunately, Wednesdays are the days that my job likes to make me work those days.
Gotta work some days.
I'm frequent in Blackstone, but only when Solus is there or when I'm just bored and I want to roleplay. And the only other one I can really think of, I went to the Red Wilds, but I stopped doing that a long time ago after a thing happened. But it's not a big deal. But yeah, actually, and then the last one was probably House of Delsin.
Considering you started there,
it's not that I don't want to. I started there, yeah. I don't really go there anymore because honestly, and to be honest, that this is kind of the problem I had with the first roleplay I ever went into. It's kind of like it's their own. You know, it's like a club that, you know, that you know, an outsider can fit in, but you have to put in godly amount of work to really like be part of the inner circle. It's a hard door to push. I had a couple people in my roleplay actually trying to enter Ensnare, and then I guess the Ensnare people told them to leave or something. Probably it could be optimization. I don't know the details, but honestly, it's just the fact that, you know, and honestly, my main character's Joe, and Joe had a really bad experience in Snare recently, where basically he knocked on the door, and every single fucking like higher level character up that was like people who were running the mansion was like, "How dare you knock on Nikolai's door?" And Joe's sitting there like, "I'm just here to give news about one of his daughters that's in trouble." And then they basically jump down his throat, and I'm like, right. And Joe's like, "I'm just gonna start sending fucking postcards instead." Leaves. And that's the last time I was in. That's the last time I was in the Ensnare Mansion.
Date of writing this letter, X. You are reading this letter. This is urgent. You're missing someone. Check the dates. Fuck, that's 6 months ago. What the fuck?
Yeah, no, and he tried to like tell him in person, but you know, Joe was instructed to only tell Nikolai, and then, you know, obviously Nikolai's kid's like, "Why don't you tell me?" And it's like, "Because I was told to only tell him." And it's like, yeah, well, we're gonna have a problem. And they essentially picked a fight with Joe, and Joe's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna leave," and then he left.
Wow.
And like I
and
said, love that server, and the people involved in that. Like I even talked to them out of character. That was just a fun RP moment. But that's the reason why I don't go anymore, is because my main character doesn't want to.
In character, it makes no sense. Yeah. Yeah, in character, Suki
issues
got
remain
shit
in
the bricks,
character.
and she's not going back either. So I get that.
Mm.
It's like every time I'm there, you guys get attacked. Fuck this.
That is real shit. That is some real shit. Every time Joe was there was another person just waltzing into the mansion with hostile intent, and Joe's sitting here like, you guys need to up your security.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, we gotta split people. All the stronger ones, you go and fight. All the weak little shits, you stay here and you defend. And Suki's like, I know I'm weak. I didn't come here to fight. And now I gotta, fuck this, I'm not going back.
Right? Like that's kind of a rule of Joe too. It's like he doesn't want to be put into the petty squabbles of other places. If he goes somewhere to hang out, then that's what he wants to do. He doesn't want to fight. Like he only fights the cultists. That's kind of Joe's only real group that he wants to fight, you know. And of course people who wrong Solus and people he cares about, but in general, the cultists are the only enemies he really gives a damn about.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, and Suki just doesn't want to fight, period. So it's like, fuck.
Yeah.
So, what do you look for when you're joining, or when you're deciding if you're gonna join or not a community, or a server, or you know?
Well, to be honest, after my first experience, because the first roleplay I ever joined in VR chat, for full transparency time, I was kicked out, and there were many reasons behind that. You know, part of it was my fault. The other part was the fact that some of the people who were mods in that particular roleplay were kind of shitty, That's a whole thing. People were doing investigation on that shit, and I guess nothing came of it. Basically, people talked to me about it. They gave me a bunch of dirt and basically said, oh, we might post a video. And then nothing happened. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'll just sit here with all this information. And I'm still in that server. I'm still in that server too, just to see, if anything happens of that one day. Probably not though.
You never know. Sometimes
I look for in a server.
Split.
Yeah, but what I look for is this, and this is the most important thing to me. A roleplay that doesn't take themselves seriously, that are not corporate, because I feel like you lose what's special about VR chat roleplays when you turn it into a corporate thing. It's like, our team has been hard at work at this, or when there's an issue, oh well, we feel this way and blah blah. Like it's some kind of fucking
just,
response YouTuber video.
Yeah.
Right, right, that's kind of what I stay away from. Like big role plays that turn into corporate fucking behemoths, like fucking Neon Divide and that kind of shit. I'm like, I'm good. If I'm going into a roleplay, I would like the staff of that roleplay to basically be a group of people who just want to tell a neat story in a VR make-believe scenario. Because as soon as people take it too seriously, that's when I leave. And that has happened to me a lot of times where I frequent in a roleplay in the metaverse, and they start to take it way too fucking seriously, and and that's when it's like, okay, well, you're taking yourself too seriously, so I'm leaving. And I've left countless roleplays because of that.
I can imagine, because
and now I've just kind of yeah,
a lot of people will go like, oh, we want to give you the greatest experience, and we want this, and we want, it's like, dude, just have fun. That's all we're asking. I want to have fun. You want to have fun.
No, I'm good. If I want, if I want to be stressed out, I'll go to work. I'll go to my real life job if I want to get stressed out. Right, and then people take it way too seriously, It's terrible.
Is there anything you wish some servers would do? Like, if you've seen a good idea somewhere and you're like, why isn't there not most other people doing this? This is cool. This is... Spread the fucking word, man!
I have a lot of opinions about it, because here's the thing. For a backstory, with Black Wolves, I've made mistakes. And I am fully willing to accept that. I did fucky wuckies with my roleplay. You know? That's fine. Live and learn. It was my first it was like the first VR chat roleplay I ever ran. Beginning, I didn't know what I was doing, and to be quite honest, the people who said, I'll help you through it, I've been running this successful roleplay for a long time, and they didn't help me. They ended up conveniently, and this is my first roleplay, they said, oh, we'll help you. You know, even the owner of a big roleplay made the first iteration of the Black Wolves logo for me. And then, conveniently, they decided to move their mod meetings to the very day I chose for Black Wolves. Coincidence? Probably. Probably a coincidence. But it is quite the coincidence.
You never know.
But so I kind of had to just learn on my own, you know, and you know. Had a lot of situations and bullshit happen throughout the years of this roleplay, because I've been running Black Wolves for 3 years at this point. 3 years, fucking hell. Wow, wild ride. But like, it's like, it's been a while of that, and I wish more people would like. Communication. That's the bottom line. Communication needs to be more prominent in all communities. Because the reason why so many roleplays fall these days, because I've seen like 5 roleplays this year just stop, like close forever. Like hell, even today or yesterday was Misty Shore's last thing, like last session. I don't know why they closed. I never went there. Actually, I went there once and they told me I had to leave because my model wasn't optimized enough.
That's funny.
Yeah. But I wish, like, and this isn't just for the staff, this is also for the people who are like players in the roleplay, and that is, people need to talk to each other. Clear line of communication. You know, even I'm guilty of that sometimes, which, you know, I'm trying to improve, and I have improved significantly. But people just need to communicate more, because at the end of the day, and this is something Nikolai said, this is Nikolai's words, if you have a problem and you don't go through the proper channels to talk about the problem and get the problem fixed, then you don't have the right to have the problem. Nikolai said that one time.
Sounds fair.
And quite honestly, it is fair, you know? If you have a problem and you fucking refuse to go to the group of people where it is their duty, their responsibility to fix said problem, then what's the point? You know, then what's the point of you having a problem? You know, don't have a problem and not intend to talk to the people to get it fixed.
Yeah, there's so many people that just keep it to themselves. Like, they have this one friend and they're just gonna be ranting between the two of you. It's like, man, this thing sucks. Yeah, I know, this fucking thing is pissing me off. Like, yeah, but tell the person in charge. They might do something about it, but they won't if they don't fucking know. I see it too.
Because like, I'll never forget
this.
Yeah, because that reminds me of a story. Basically, this is a Black Wolves thing. At one point, somebody like got in trouble in character. They got in trouble in character, and then they talked to me out of character afterwards, saying like, "Am I in trouble?" And I'm like, "No, dude. If you get in trouble in character, that's an in character problem. I don't, you know, like, you're fine out of character. I don't give a damn. You know, if your character acts out, then your character's gonna be punished. Then you'll get punished. That's kind of the way the cookie crumbles." Play stupid games, win stupid prizes in character, but at the end of the day, if it's a roleplay thing, it's in character, don't bring it out of character, you know? Like,
yeah.
You know, if you do something terrible in character, that doesn't mean you're going to be reprimanded out of character.
Yeah, but sometimes there's some people that their character's pretty damn close to them. It's like, oh man.
Right,
it's
like self-insert type of characters.
I mean, you know, it's not a bad thing when you're your own character too. It's pretty interesting. Like, what would I think of all this shit around me? It's like, holy fuck. Yeah. But at the same time, it makes the lines so blurry.
Jace here is actually technically a self-insert. It was basically, I was a kid, And I was like, I'm gonna make a character that is basically me if I was more mentally strong. And yeah, I know that's really fucking sad, but that was the premise of him.
Dude, we all
It's a
have
very
this
comforting
little
character,
thing.
right? Though. Everyone has.
Yeah? Yeah,
Everyone
everybody's
has
got this little, like, the reason I made this is nice, but in the background's like not that nice.
Yeah, people just need to chill. You know, people need to chill. You know, I get some people like make their whole lives about roleplay, and you know, like role-playing is a big part of my life, but it's not my main.
It's not
part of
your
my-
life. Yeah.
It's a hobby. That's all it is. You know, VR chat role-playing is a hobby that I quite enjoy.
The thing is that, like all things, roleplay has a few layers. You've got you're not interested, you've got hobby, you've got passionate, and then you got addicted. And the line is pretty blurry between all of these. And some people just
Exactly.
go from top to bottom pretty fucking quick.
Yeah, to put it bluntly, people can be, you know, enjoy VR chat role-playing, but just go outside and touch some grass once in a while, man.
Yeah, it happens. It do be happening.
Right? Go outside, go for a run, you know, breathe air outside. Although for me, it's really fucking cold outside and there's snow and I don't want to go outside.
Yeah, no shit. We've been having like
Fuck
3
that New
consecutive
York
fucking
weather.
snowstorms. Dude, I'm in Quebec, Canada, man. It's fucking...
Oh.
Mm.
Also, can I just say, this has been such a fucking thing with me, where people misunderstand what I say, and like my tone is like people think that I'm being an asshole, but that's just the way I talk, and that could attribute to my autism, but also the fact that I'm a New Yorker, which means New Yorkers are normally pretty aggressive. Look at Jay Schlatt. I mean, look at Jay Schlatt. He's a fucking prime example of a New Yorker.
Honestly, I never even fucking considered that a thing, but I mean, if it happened to you, I guess it's a thing.
Like, because, like, there's the stereotype. It's like, hey, I'm walking it. Like, I mean, they're not wrong. You know, obviously, it's exaggerated, but, you know, the whole aggressive part of New Yorkers, that's true.
I mean, I'll take your word for it. There's a lot of shit that just goes straight over my head, but I guess it's true. Gonna go back to probably this. Which is hold on. Which one is your main metaverse character?
Metaverse, okay.
Yeah.
Joe.
I mean,
Joe. Joe is my main metaverse character.
alright. I guess BWR is kind of part of the metaverse. You have like Solace is there, Magnox is there. She's kind of part of the metaverse. Like it's not part of, but it's kind of.
Magda's not real. Magda's not in the. Not particularly there. Magda's not there. Gala, the character behind Magda, is there.
Oh yeah,
her
right.
character Nala in Black Wolves, completely different character. But
yeah. My bad.
Basically, now this is something that I don't talk about much. So let me give a quick lesson here. Black Wolves originally was metaverse and allowed metaverse characters. That was a thing that happened. I did not like that because my personal opinion at the time was, what is the point in me being part of the metaverse when there's no reason why metaverse characters would give a shit about a rebellion in a single little lone universe with a problem of a dictator? Why would metaverse people care and fight a war that they aren't affected by? That was my main thing behind it at the time, and the fact that metaverse characters at the time, from my point of view back then, is the power scaling of metaverse is fucked. And part of me, a big part of me really believes that, and I'm a firm believer in that, considering, you know, Joe's a demigod, Jace is a god, you know, Solus is a fucking unstoppable force, you know, and it's like, so I closed off Black Wolves to the metaverse. Black Wolves is not part of the metaverse. It used to be, and there's a lore reason why. Because I don't like to retcon. I don't believe in retconning. I've retconned before, but I don't like retconning. So basically, there's this lore event in Black Wolf's lore called the Nexus event. Basically, that's the cultist that we fight in the metaverse. The World Eater consumed Joe's universe. Joe's universe was the thing that held the multiverse for Black Wolves together to the metaverse. And once Joe's universe was split, that was the connection that was split. The only connection between the metaverse and the multiverse with Black Wolves in it is Joe. Joe's the only connection there. Now, people can go back and forth. People in the metaverse can only go one way. Basically, in order to join Black Wolves, you have to basically kill off your character. Solus was technically an exception because he had a clone, and he just sent a clone in there. That's how Solus is there. So, however, people from that multiverse, from the Black Wolves, can go back and forth, but I restrict that heavily. Even my character, Black Wolf's character, John, technically he can go back and forth, and he can bring people back and forth, but he doesn't like to do that because, in his words, I got my own problems. I do not want to join in on the metaverse's problems.
Fair
So
enough.
it's kind of connected. Down the road, when Black Wolf's story is gone and ended, when I finish up Black Wolves, I definitely have the intention of opening it back up, potentially doing social lobbies, but I don't know what I'm going to be doing in a couple years when I finish up Black Wolves. I don't know
Plans
how I'm going
for
to be in that state
future.
back then.
Yeah.
A future that I cannot predict. But that's kind of how I explain it with Black Wolves is Black Wolves is kind of connected to the metaverse, but we don't accept metaverse characters. You gotta make a character from the ground up, or you gotta completely kill off your metaverse characters so they can join the Black Wolves.
Alright. That
Yeah,
do be
that's
working.
basically how I explain. Yeah, I
'Cause
don't talk about it often because it's not really information that's relevant to anybody. It's never going to be relevant. So I just say Black Wolves is not a metaverse to make it simple.
Lore, I find that lore is always relevant. It's always good to have at least a few paragraphs that just takes everything down and you're like, okay, I can see the dots now. So,
there's an FAQ in Black Wolves that I believe there is a question that answers, why can't I bring my metaverse character here? Or why is this place not metaverse? And then I explain why.
I won't lie to you that I kind of knew this bit, but kind of putting that out there.
Right. Right, I completely forgot that we were recording.
See, that's what I meant. We're just having a good time. The
Tyler,
recording is...
Listen,
the
we're just having a
recording is for other
conversation
people.
here.
Like I said, I'm curious. I'm legitimately curious, and I want to know more shit. That's just for if other people have the same questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a thing that you probably heard a million times, but you're gonna hear another one from me. I get very confused about all of your characters. To me, Jay, John, Jason, it's like, who's who? What the fuck? I'm so lost.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of them too.
Yeah.
Solace
have
and
a problem.
Solstice. They look different, they sound different, they're very different. Cool. But with you, it's like, which one is which? God damn.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is definitely a confusing thing.
Are you gonna have them be more separate ways at some point, or one of them's gonna look completely fucking different? Is that, or you're just gonna be like, haha, confusion, let's play on that?
Well, it's actually funny you say that. I'm in the process of changing all of my models, for my main characters, John, Jason, Joe. They are going to be using the same base and head, however, their hair is going to be different. For example, John, he has facial hair. Joe, he's going to have facial hair. The only difference is John has really long black hair, and Joe has, just extremely short curly hair. And Jace, it is very difficult to mistake Jace for anybody else. Jace is a very uniquely colored individual. Orange and yellow he's a fucking walking glow stick. It's very hard to mistake it for anyone else. The name part, that is definitely my fault, which is why I might be changing Joe's name going forward. I'm making it like a struggle thing because, like I said earlier, when I said I'm making Joe into an indie game like an indie game character for my indie games, that's kind of the way I'm like slowly gonna change his name. So it's definitely gonna be complicated for a bit, where people just, you know, call him Joe for a while, and that's fine. I'm still gonna accept the name Joe, but I'm gonna start introducing him as the new name because he's gonna be named the god Kronos, which, you know, that's gonna be a whole thing. I'm not gonna really spoil it, but
That
I'm gonna
already
slowly
sounds
start
a lot
making
more
his name
different than
Kronos.
the other ones.
Exactly. So I'm gonna slowly make that a thing. Joe and Jace, or not Joe and Jace, John and Jace. I even mistaken it myself. Look at me. Those two, I don't have a way to change their name. Jace is gonna remain Jace, and John's gonna remain John. However, people don't mistake the two often, so I think I'm good.
I mean,
And then there are some unnecessary characters that I'm gonna.
Often.
Yeah, I feel like the problem. I feel like if I come around more as those characters, I feel like people are going to mistaken them less. But at the same time, yeah, it's an out of character problem, but also it is quite the fun confusion in character. It's like, aren't you John? Nope, you're wrong. I'm Jace. Almost had it.
Almost had the cookie there. Fuck.
And with John is gonna remain in Black Wolves. Like, John can go into the metaverse. He can, like, if I really wanted to, I could walk in Blackstone as John, but that is like the most pointless thing I could ever do.
That was exactly my point. Like, that was exactly what I was gonna say. Like, what do you have to gain?
Is probably right for Frostbite Forge. Yeah, I'm gonna hop in as John sometimes. Sometimes John's gonna have a thing he can do, maybe. But Joe and Jace are gonna be the main two. And once I get Joe's name to be Kronos and people start calling him that, then the confusion will probably start to separate a little bit more. And with David, I don't know what I'm doing with him. Honestly, I don't know what to do. I don't know what I'm doing with David. David, the cowboy character, I have no idea what I'm doing with him. I'm changing his personality a bit to see what happens, but in general, he's dying. As in, was established last session in Black Wolves, where it's like, hey, the thing that is making me immortal is going away, and, you know, my immortality is what's been keeping the cancer to not kill me. And at this point, he's like, I am almost 200 years old. I think it's my time now. I think it's time for me to go.
Not gonna even fight.
And
it's
that's
like, fuck it, rest.
Yeah, I'm slowly like killing off characters that are unnecessary, or characters that have, you know, had their story told already, you know. I have introduced new characters, like in my new metaverse character, Arya. I don't know what I'm gonna do with her yet, but I'm sure I'm gonna have fun with her. She has a different name. Solus actually named her, so.
Dude, Solus is pretty good with names too. He named Silky, he named fucking what's her name? Celica? Like, yeah, no, he's got that covered.
Yeah. But yeah, no, there's Arya, and then there's Poggy. Oh my god, I love Poggy. He is such a fun character to play as.
I remember Poggy,
but social anxiety.
I don't remember the last time. I think I've only seen the character once.
You hopped over. Yeah, you saw him once, and you fucking came out of nowhere and just looked over the staircase like, do you need a new hiding spot? Do you need a better hiding spot? And then Poggy proceeded to turn into mush because because that's how his character is.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I think I've only seen it once, maybe twice. No.
That's because I haven't been playing as him often. But I recently had him go to therapy, and basically how it's explained, he has really bad anxiety. He was rejected by his tribe for being too small and weak, you know, and when he gets too close to people, he just faints. And his tribe was primarily like only male, so women, he's fucking terrified of them. You can't stand them. Yeah, no, he's afraid. He fucking faints at the sight of him. Like, I don't have full body. I don't know how I'm gonna do that. I could do the ragdoll system. I know there's a ragdoll asset I could potentially use.
Go Loco's got a ragdoll
Right, just
system,
make
I
him-
think.
Imagine someone gets too close and you just do a ragdoll and you hear the Gmod ragdoll sound effect like.
If we're taking... Okay, in the grand scheme of things, throughout the metaverse, if level 100 is top level, what do you think? Where do you think you're scoring somewhere in there?
For Joe, I think he's pretty high up there. He has a lot of growing to do. I'd say probably 70. He has a lot of room to grow. He has a lot more struggles he needs to go through. I kind of feel like Frostbite Forge and, Solus and Joe are on a completely different scale from the metaverse at this point.
Yeah, I mean, Solus ramps up pretty fast, and it's good, but it's at the same time, it's like you think
Pace
you're
yourself.
there, and yeah. It's like you think you're here, but in reality, you're more here, and you're like, wait, I thought he was there. Oh shit!
I think here's the problem. I feel like the problem is some people just offer characters power boosts, and I feel like, people like Solus just, immediately say yes to it, and so because of that, it just, you see the power scale just fucking is exponential, just, one power up, and then it just turns basically like a straight line up.
Because that server's got those issues, so they have that solution. That solution happens to work with this server, so you're like, I'll take that. So you go back, but this server has a solution for that problem, so they offer you this solution, and you just fucking ping-pong all over. For me,
Exactly.
I always wanted Silky to be so fucking weak. I wanted Silky to be like a wimpy little piece of shit that's just afraid. And it's been really, really hard to keep that. And now,
You see,
look,
I was a genius with Joe. I was a fucking genius with him. This is how I basically make it where he doesn't get any stronger quickly as Solus. Basically, his soul is in pieces, shattered from when he consumed his universe. So basically, the only way he can really get stronger is by finding those pieces. And me, out of character, I can decide when he gets a piece. So I can decide when he levels up, and by that logic, he stays around the same power level. Now, granted, people can give him different energy types to replicate, get more abilities, but he has to spend a lot of time unlocking those abilities because of it's an energy he's unfamiliar with. He has to do research. He has to find somebody who knows how to use the magic to get there. How do you use this type of energy? So basically, there are so many reasons why Joe has to take the time to learn these abilities rather than just willy-nilly, I'm stronger, look at me go.
I know, I did kind of the same with Silky and her corruption, which is, it doesn't matter what kind of magic it is, it won't work. She managed to learn the very basic spell of flame and neutral healing, because flame is just, it's neutral as all fuck, and neutral healing is, neutral as all fuck, so it's like that, fine. Everything else,
Yeah,
it
'cause at
just
that
turns
point-
into like wild magic and shit. It's like, she needs to learn over her own, and no one can help her learn that shit than herself. That's the whole point. She's getting physically stronger.
And that's a really genius way of doing it.
Yeah, I saw all these characters with their magic and just going everywhere, and I'm like, I don't want Silky to be boss level in a couple months. I want to enjoy this character's growth. How do I do that? So yeah, it's been a struggle.
With Jace,
but
I
it's a
kind of
fun
ignored
one.
that. With Jace, I've ignored it because Jace, like I said, been writing him since I was 10, and at this point, he is pretty far into his story. So at this point in the game, he has had that growth. He has had that development throughout the years. He earned the title he has. At this point, Jace is so much stronger than Joe. Joe's getting there. Joe's getting there to the power level Jace is at. But at this point, Jace is on a whole different level. Which is why the cultists were made in the first place. Because the cultist is kind of the solution to the OP problem. especially in the metaverse, because first of all, the cultists, they ignore armor. So you can become really fucking tough, but eventually they will adapt and they will get through that armor and ignore it. Number two, one damage ability you give them, immediately they adapt to that ability, and that ability is basically, it does damage still, yes, but it is basically negligible damage. So the cultists, every time you fight with something, that item becomes progressively more useless against the cultists. So basically, they adapt quickly. So there's no so basically that was because the cultists were originally in the original story that I bootlegged for these characters. That was the end game. Like that, the cultists were the end game. And the only reason I continued with these cultists here is because, well, I didn't, when I wrote that story years ago, I didn't really get a chance to explore the cultists more. So this is my opportunity to do it, and I feel like the cultists are kind of the perfect enemy for Solus and Joe and all those other characters because, it's the cultists give them a run for their money.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm unfortunately never on time, and I'm never there, and I'm skipping everything because of fucking life and shit, but I'm reading every now and then, and it's like, oh.
Yeah, shit happens.
Yeah, no, shit
like, happens.
Oh boy.
It is what it is.
I'm glad Suki's too busy in fucking training, cause oh shit.
And now shit's gonna hit the fan. Only a matter of time.
So, do you have what's the biggest? Do you have any plans to Joe that you did not plan? Like a big change that happened, you were like, I'm just gonna run with the flow. Fuck it. That makes sense. Whatever, but it changes like all of the shit you had planned.
Well, okay, let me tell this story. I have a recording of this, but I don't know if I'm gonna upload it. I might upload the parts that matter. But basically, Magda and Joe went to the Omni King, which is basically the god of the multiverse, like the multiverse Joe is from.
Okay.
So basically, they went there, they talked with him, and there was this moment where the Omni King's like, listen, you want power to fight these cultists and to have a winning chance. You want enchantments, you want this new energy type. In order for me to do that, you have to become a god. And how I explained it is, there's gonna come a day where the multiverse and even the metaverse gets too old and collapses in on itself, basically like the heat death of the universe, except on a multiverse scale. And it basically collapses in on itself. And when that day comes, because of how Joe was shattered, he's gonna survive that. So he's gonna survive that whole ordeal. And he's like,
okay,
you're gonna be there anyway when it resets. Why don't you become a god? And it's like, fine, I'll do it. And basically it's like, oh, you're gonna be Kronos now. And to be honest, that was kind of an idea I've had for a little bit, and it's because I had this idea because, like I said, Joe was meant to be like a character that wasn't even supposed to like be in combat. But because of everything that's happened for him and the things that I wasn't expecting, that I was just rolling with, he's gotten to the point where, in terms of his character development, not his power development, but his character development, for me, that was the only way I could see Joe's story going. Because for a while I've been talking with Solus about this, because I don't know how Joe's story is going to end. I don't know how it's going to end. For all I know, they could lose to the cultists, for all I know, but generally, I don't know how Joe's story is going to end, and I know where I want to go with it, so
I don't think
it's kind of take a life of its own,
You just said something that just kind of sparked something here. I'm just like, dude, has anyone in the metaverse actually lost to, like, a big entity like the cultist, or, like, fucking Blackstone were dealing with vampire hunters for a while. They never lost. And, like, other shit like that. Has anyone fucking lost? Like, majorly screwed up? I don't think so. I'm
I felt like that was the exact thought I had with the meta. My original intent with the cultists was to make an enemy and having these cultists start invading other role plays to basically say, oh shit, there is a group, there is a cult that is stronger than us. And my ultimate goal, I know this is a pipe dream and never gonna happen, but my hope was one day the cultists were gonna have the World Eater consume an entire roleplay server that was gonna shut down anyway, and basically be like, oh, the World Eater consume. This is only an example here, but imagine if I managed to pull like the World Eater consuming Blackstone. Can you fucking imagine the shockwave that would happen within the metaverse if that were to happen?
I mean, I won't lie to you that that's kind of what I was doing. I'm still doing with Nyx, the one that fucked up Silky. Except I'm having him build up an evil army and shit. Like, the guy's not evil per se, but the army is definitely going to be. And so, like, I'm like, I fucking get that. Like, 100%.
Yeah, because I see
no
the metaverse.
one's ever lost.
I see the metaverse go. Yeah, no way. I see all these wars happening in the metaverse, but they all end the same way. We won and defeated the baddie. Look at us go. You know, like, and I'm sitting here like, yeah, well, ain't nothing like good. Nothing is better for character development than a firm ass kicking. A firm ass kicking. Yeah, like, and that's kind of what. And this, keep in mind, me destroying a roleplay with the World Eater. This thing, that was an intention that I had before even Solus and I were like friends. That was my intent all along.
I mean, you could always find
kind of
like a place and like you find a place and they go, hey, you know, we're probably gonna close, and then you just go, hey, before you close, I got a big thing with you. And you just ramp up their finale and then just like done. It might happen.
If only, right? If only.
Hey, it might happen, man. I'm working towards making one guy have an army of evil assholes, and if I can, this army of evil assholes will be players. If I can. I want players to be the bad guys of the metaverse. To go, and sometimes I'd be like, hey, whatever server, say Blackstone for example, I'll check with the DMs and be like, hey, do you mind if you get like invaded for a while, you know, character deaths if anybody's willing, blah blah blah, just settle shit down. It's like, alright, on this server, yo, we attack that server, whatever date, and that server's like, hey, there's gonna be an event, and then just, BAM! I want that, like, it would be so cool. But it's
yeah, that's like that was the dream that I used to have was getting to the point where the cultists is a threat that like 90% of the metaverse is like joining forces on taking them down. Like uniting a bunch of servers to take down one big baddie. Like that was a pretty big goal of mine. It's probably never gonna happen, but that's alright.
We never even talked about it, and we have about the same fucking idea. It's brilliant. I love it.
Yeah, like, I just, you know, like, I want to innovate. I want to be different, which is, you know, with Black Wolves, I like to be different, you know. And with Joe and all that, I want to be different, which is one of the reasons why I made a big decision a while ago that Black Wolves is gonna be owned by my indie game studio. It's not a legal studio yet, but it will be. And when that day comes, Black Wolves is going to be owned by that. Like, it will no longer be owned by me. It will be owned by the company that I run. You know, it'll be under the same umbrella. That's the bigger picture. Now, with that, I put this in the FAQ in the server too. I don't own people's characters per se. I own the story and the characters that I have personally made. Those are the characters I own. I own Joe. I own Joe's story. Joe's story, I own that. That's mine. Same with all my other characters. The models, I don't. Technically. Jace, I own most of this. I made the base from scratch. It's terribly made from scratch. The armor is off Sketchfab. This character I could technically claim ownership over. The other characters not so much. For example, Joe's arm. That is from Devil May Cry. I can't use that. So I plan on making Joe a character in my indie game. Guess what? I'm gonna have to probably make a model for Joe from scratch. which that's gonna be fun when that day comes.
I fully get that. I made a couple avatars from scratch, and it's like, oh my god, fuck. This is why
it is a
my
nightmare.
characters I paid for. I was like, cause my love, my fucking, my favorite gal. It's just,
Yeah.
I was like, yo, make this a reality for me, please and thank you.
Model making is fucking expensive.
I know, dude. I fucking know. I spent for 3 avatars.
Example, up until last week, I had spent zero money on Joe. I had spent 0 money on Joe up until last week. And last week I decided to bite the bullet and spend money on Joe. And so I hear my computer doing disconnecting sounds, which is probably my wife getting the full body. The full body I am not using. It's alright, it's all good. But basically, I had spent like $50 on Joe last week. You know? And I don't regret it.
That's not too bad.
I spent money on a base, which that base in the head I bought, I'm getting so much mileage out of it. Like I changed John's face to it, and I changed John's base and head for it. I changed Joe and Joe's head and base for it. And then I bought clothes for Joe, which I gave him. He has the same jacket, but I gave him this cool little harness thing. Gives me Kratos vibes. But yeah, no, I got a cool new design for Joe. I'm excited for people to see it. I was in the Blackstone today with his new look, but nobody was there. Sad.
I was at work. Can't be there.
With John, I have spent a lot of money on John. John and Black Wolves, I have spent at this point in the game, because I've been working on the character for 3 years. I have spent like well over $100 on him. I have spent bank on John. Yeah,
no, I get that.
No, that's.
Originally, I paid for someone to make this avatar, and the guy just completely fucking ripped me off. $400, and I received nothing.
Yeah.
I was like, you motherfucker. So, yeah, that was a terrible start.
It's funny. I actually paid to make a base done for Jace, and it was the most terrible purchase I'd ever made. The avatar's still on my account too. It is a really shitty base. All the details are added through normal maps, and it's just a really terribly misshapen monster amalgamation.
I mean, yeah. So
and the head I made, I am not proud of the head for Jace, which is why I'm changing the face and the base for it. The hair I am proud of. I am not changing the hair. The hair stays, but the face and body are changing.
I gotta give credits where credit is due, and I got a guy named Windblast, Wingdud, Wingdude. He changes names all the place. He's the one that made this happen. But like, my first attempt at having my girl come to life was a complete rip, and I was like, dude, if I can't have my character come into this VR shit, I'm fucking leaving. So I get like fucking spending way too much for shit. It's, yeah. And I've done it again.
I've been learning
for
Substance Painter, which is helpful.
I mean,
Substance Painter is your friend, honestly.
I just hate texture. I will make the mesh, I will make the particles, I will make the animations, but when it comes to textures, I'm just gonna outsource that to someone else. Like, fucking make that, dude. I absolutely.
That's what I did with my indie game stuff. I had to hire somebody to make model sheets for all my characters. And like I am hiring this girl, this really top seller on Fiverr, and she's such a sweetheart. I only have to pay like $65 a pop for each character sheet, and it's a really good deal, honestly.
Dude,
I'm really proud of it.
Nice.
Yeah, no, like $65 a character sheet. Like I'm gonna send you after we're done here. I'm gonna send you what I got so far of her, and you're gonna be like, wow, $65 for that? That's a good deal. Like it is, like, and the models are quite nice too. Like the models are quite nice. I haven't had them made in terms of from scratch yet. I have this one person that's highly rated on Fiverr, and he has offered to charged me $700 for both of the main characters from my game, which is a really fucking deal.
I mean, that's not bad.
And the
That's what I
models are
paid
going to
for
be
Silky.
VR chat ready too. I'm not going to upload the characters to VR chat, obviously. Maybe Kronos. Kronos is just going to be Joe, but after everything is over. So at one point, maybe I'll have Joe ascend again, and I'll use the model that I had made from scratch for my indie game and use it for Joe in the metaverse. Maybe I'll do that. I don't know the legality of it. I'll have to look into it, but that's another intention of mine.
You'll have to see in time. We're gonna move to the last section that I got in store, because pretty sure you got a lot to say on that one as well, and that is like game masters and shit. I know you're GM in only like Black Wolves, and you kind of work on the side for Frostbite when you can.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know, do you prefer being a player or a game master?
For me, it depends. Like, for example, like, the biggest reward for me as a DM is everyone having fun in a session. However, I also, as an owner of Black Wolves, and this is something I truly believe in, and that is, just because I run this roleplay does not mean I don't enjoy being a player. I love being a player, and I love playing as John, and I want more opportunities to play as him. You know, obviously, I have to run the roleplay, you know, so I don't get many opportunities. You know, which is, you know, I've been delegating to my other DMs, see if they can run sessions. You know, if I write them and then I have them DM the session that day and I have me be a player that day, I've been able to make that work. But in general, I do like being a player more than I like being a GM. But at the same time, I do like being a GM because when I GM a session and everyone is fully immersed in the moment and having a good time, that is its own reward. I'm telling you.
And like, what is your main goal as the GM? A good story, a good feel, a good, like, you just want them to be in the moment, and like, what do you want to give your players as a game master?
I want to give them a story that will make them never forget about it.
All right.
Like when my goal is when Black Wolves is over, 10 years after Black Wolves has ended, my goal is for people to still think about some moments from Black. That is my goal.
I mean, that's gonna happen no matter what, for sure. They're like, I still talk about like some random people and friends, and like, it's like, my first tabletop game, we had this dumbass and blah blah blah, and it's like,
I even made a deal with myself that if I finished season 1 of Black Wolves, I would tattoo the Black Wolves logo on my real life body. And
oh yeah,
the way things are going right now, I'm gonna have to make room on my right shoulder.
nice.
I already have my game studio logo on my left shoulder. I might as well make it the other shoulder and make it even.
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah, so
give me one thing.
I am dedicated.
Oh, dude, you sound like you are. Give me one thing that you want to say to other game masters out there. Like, one major, like, must-known, must-have, must-hear from one to another.
It's important for you to have fun, but at the same time, it is important that others have fun. And at the same time, not only for GM, but as an owner as well, you need to make sure you have a deep, like, you need to make sure that you are calm, cordial, and you are the most impartial and neutral party in everything. If you are not neutral, things will go to shit. It is important to do that. It is important to be neutral about things, look at things from a neutral perspective, make sure to have proof of what you do, and also as a GM, it is also important that, you know, homebrewing is important. And and whatever you expect your players to do, expect them to do the opposite or something you haven't thought of. Legitimately, I have had players we were doing a rescue mission one time, and I was having my full intention was for them to go through the fucking map, save the person, go out the way they came. No, they did not do that. As a matter of fact, they demanded that I allow them to open a vent to see if that vent leads somewhere else. And the only reason I was able to let them do that is because I had Nikolai there to be like, hey, I have a map for that. Because, quite frankly, I did not plan for them to go through the vent. So I didn't have a map prepared. And Nikolai came in clutch with a sewer map. And he came in clutch with that. And there's this funniest clip where there are a bunch of enemies in that sewer, and my character, who's the character being saved, bribed all the mercenaries to fuck off. And that was the funnest stuff in the world, and it was the funniest session. Everyone had a good time that day. I'm telling you, home brewing is the most important part of being a GM, because player choice is the fucking wild card. You can prepare fucking 12 different scenarios, and the players will fucking think of a 13th scenario that you did not even take into account. That is what's most important about being a GM, is being able to think of something on the fly.
And if you have one thing for players as a GM,
communicate with the DM and the dev team. Communicate with them. If you think something should be one way, talk to them about it. We are not mind readers. We are not mind readers. If you truly have an opinion or something that you believe needs to be changed, or you just you will have an idea that you think is really cool, most of the time the GMs don't bite. If you have a genuine idea that is really good, do it. Recently in Black Wolves, in my roleplay, there's an idea board in my server, and somebody wanted a horror session, and so I gave it to them, and everyone enjoyed it yesterday. So make sure to communicate. If you have an idea or you have an opinion, communicate it with the people, the devs, so we can prepare properly. And for God's sake, put it in writing. Put it in writing. People like me have ADHD and autism. My brain is sitting there thinking of metal pipe dropping sounds and thinking about what I'm gonna have for lunch tomorrow. If you tell me about a hole in the map, I am not going to remember it. I'm not going to remember.
Write shit down and share the shit.
Write it down. But also, make sure to be in a VC and then write it down as well. Depends on on the DM, honestly. But in general, saying something through text is difficult because you don't know the true intention behind the words. Make sure it's in a VC, right. But also if it's just, if it's something that isn't really bad.
But take the note for later.
Yes. I tell my players that all the time, where it's like, hey, there's a bug with this NPC model that you made. Cool. Put it in, like, remind me, like, send it me through text so I remember. Because most of the time, every Monday morning, I sit down, I look at like the idea board, feedback board, see if there's any like bugs that people have with a model or something. I check my DMs if someone said, hey, there's a bug with this. I look at that before I work on something. So most of the time, if it's not in writing, I'm not going to remember. And that's the same with everyone. I've had so many roleplay owners, like even roleplay owners that are like the top roleplays of the entire VR chat roleplaying community, they have said, I am not good with memory. People need to write things down more, and I am prone to forgetting.
Well, I mean, it fucking makes sense. Communication is key everywhere you fucking go.
I would forget where my head is if it wasn't attached to me.
Well, that's all the questions I had, so unless you want to say something specific, now's your time, I guess.
Well, I'm gonna plug First of all, I'm gonna plug Black Wolves. Second of all, and this is honestly the most important, make sure to have. This is the most important thing that I have gotten. I was going to make a video like this. I had talked to 30+ people about this very thing. Balance is important. Do not get consumed by this whole medium. It is important to have a balance. you know, I know it can be easy to get caught up in the moment, caught up in amazing role plays and people who are really passionate about role playing, and that's really great and all. But you need to always have at least 1 or 2 days where it is only doing what you want to do. Take some time to keep in touch with the real world. Don't get consumed by it. I love role playing so much. It is an amazing medium and an amazing outlet. But don't. And I'm also passionate, but passion and addiction is different. And I've seen people lose their jobs to roleplay. Even I am guilty of it sometimes, where I'm sitting here in a text RP during work, and well, that's allowed and that's fine. Still, for some people, they might not have a job where that's okay, or they, you know, they may have responsibilities that they need to take care of. In short, self-care is extremely important, and I want to advocate for that. And also, make sure to keep character bleed in check. Mental health is important, and if you are consumed, or if something happens in a role play and there's drama, walk away from it. It's not worth it. It's never worth it. If you know, if you have a different opinion to somebody, you know, you're a roleplay owner, and you and another person have a creative difference, or if it could be as simple as this person flirted with me in character, or whatever. Those are just examples, nothing specific.
It's fine.
You know,
it's fine.
Walk away from it. It's a make-believe RP. RP is just a bunch of people playing make-believe, right? Like,
We're
everyone's
just having
pretending to be
an
somebody
overflow
else.
of imagination. That's all it is.
Right. We're having a good time, and that's what's important. And as soon as you're not having a good time, as soon as you're in a role play because you have to be, that's a problem. Don't be in a role play because you have to be. Be in a role play because you want to.
Because you want to be.
Some role plays like mine do. Listen, some role plays like mine do have an attendance requirement. But it is also the duty for people to, while having attendance requirements, it is also important to make sure that your roleplay is fun enough where people don't mind being there every week.
Because if I'm gonna be honest, I'm kinda not doing great on the attendance rule, but I'm fucking busy as shit.
Oh, come on. I mean, in Black Wolves, you're a dev. Devs are kind of exempt from the rule in a way, because you're kind of... Nikolai is a mod in my server, and he's never around, but that's because he is a helping hand when he can be there.
Yeah,
I'm referring to more players, because...
I'm trying to be there, though. Like, if there's a rule to something and there's exceptions, I always excuse the exceptions and I abide by the rule. I'm like, fuck that. Like, I will... If you say
you've been
that's
doing alright so far.
I mean, I'm trying my best. I really am, but like... man, I got a relationship and I've got shit going left and right. It's like, god damn it, man!
As a married man, I get it. I'm a married man too. It is a hell of it is important.
Yeah.
I have a blessing of a wife who also enjoys roleplay. And also she is an amazing supportive wife, and one of the plugs I'm going to do is my amazing wife. I'm shocked she did not hear me.
Damn.
I hope she does not find out that I praised her on a recording.
Well, I mean, that's definitely going on YouTube, and it's going to be shared across the board, so you're fucked no matter what.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, that's about it.
I mean,
in short, mental health is important.
Alright. And I'll put the link in the I'll put the link in the fucking description down below to Black Wolf if you want.
Oh hell yeah! I'll send you the advertisement that I have.
God damn! All right, can do that. Yeah. So I mean. Well, look at you! You managed to get to the end of the video. Or did you skip? You better not. Anyway, you watched the whole video, so might as well subscribe while you're here. There's gonna be more like that, I promise. Maybe. I don't know. I don't care. Do what you want.